welcome to this week's episode of the Lipstick League. I'm Natalie Aganoff.
And I'm Nicole Mahalik. It's where sports and pop culture
come to play.
So we're doing it a little different this week because we were afraid to get snowed in and we didn't want to sleep at the radio station because we have mice and we didn't want to sleep with them.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. So it's first nor'easter in 600. I can be inverting numbers. It's definitely over like 500 and something days.
Yeah, it's been over 2 years. I had Adam Joseph from 6ABC on the air with me yesterday. He's like, it's almost been 2.5 years.
Yeah, since we've had any sort of snowfall here in Philadelphia. So of course, the first one is, the night where me and Nicole have to record. So we're doing it over Zoom today.
Yeah, and Natalie and I have a Ford Focus and a Ford Fiesta.
Yeah.
So we're not necessarily equipped.
No vehicle ready.
Tell people listening what you were smart and did though.
Oh, I put rock salt underneath my tires in the parking lot at our work because I thought to myself, I don't know, and again because it's like such a weird year, like you don't know what building management's doing because there's no people there anymore.
Yeah.
It's just the radio stations that are there, like all the offices have cleared out because of COVID. So I was like, I don't know if they're going to be plowing it or what their plan is. And when I got there, all the rock salt was melting already because it was right before it snowed. So I bought a little bag from the corner store. And when I got to the office, anybody who saw me, I was just sprinkling it around my car.
Like so smart. And it was funny because our studio has a huge window. So I was taking pictures. I'm like, here's the roads. I would send it to you. I'm like, the plows are here. And so it wasn't horrible driving home, but like, I'm glad that we decided. So if you're listening and the audio is like a little funny, it's because we're doing it on Zoom tonight.
Yeah.
And so just bear with us.
Yes. Just bear with us.
It was for our safety.
Yes, it was for our safety. And now we're doing it from the comfort of our own homes, which is kind of nice as well.
Wait, where's Ginge?
Oh, Ginge. She's giving herself a little bath. Here she is.
There she is. Star.
Ginger, say hi.
Say hi, Ginger. Hey, Ginge. Oh my God.
So over cute. Here. The old gal. Oh no, up here, Ginger.
Yeah.
There she is.
There she is.
It's all right. Things are getting a little confused anymore these days, my little angel.
How old is she?
So my estimate is she should be around 13 or
Oh, she's that old?
Yeah, she's probably around 13. I put her between 12 and 13 in March.
And what, you've had her with you the whole time?
I've had her since 2010. So that's 10. When I adopted her, they told me, oh, are you tired? When I got her, they told me that she was 1.5 years. And then when I took her to the vet for another evaluation, because they had gotten her from somewhere, they were like, probably put her at like 2 to 3 years old.
So cute. She's so cute.
I know.
My special guest. So this week has been a really big week for females in sports.
Yeah.
Obviously it was big. We're going to talk about Jalen Hurts, but like there's been some really awesome stories with badass women in sports. And we want to kick off the episode with that. And then we have some like fun sports pop culture stuff. Like Taylor Swift is officially an Eagles fan. Like it's in writing.
So that's speculated. But like it's kind of in writing, but it's kind of speculated.
Okay, we're gonna say it is, and we're gonna talk to that. But let's.
Okay.
Should we kick it off with Sarah Fuller first?
Yeah, I think you should totally kick it off with Sarah Fuller. So, she has just been this super incredible, in my opinion, 2020 surprise, right?
Yeah, I mean okay, so if you're listening, you're like, who's Sarah Fuller? She is the soccer star from Vanderbilt who, because of COVID, actually started to play as the place kicker on the Vanderbilt football team. So not only did she become the first woman to ever play in a Power 5 game, she then 3 weeks ago actually kicked, and then she became the first female ever
to score points.
Yeah. She actually kicked the extra point.
Yeah.
And the thing that sucks so bad, and like her teammates were so excited for her and she was having a blast, but because of COVID, the Vanderbilt game against Georgia, which was supposed to be this weekend, which is supposed to be this weekend, the weekend of like the 19th, got canceled because of COVID. And so her season abruptly ended.
Well, her football career abruptly ended. But, just, again, I feel like we've talked about this in earlier episodes where we've said it doesn't matter how you get there. It's, it's all about the journey and like not the destination, and where you end up is where you're going to eventually end up being. So I feel like with somebody like her, like Sarah Fuller, it's incredible to see how like her soccer career and just her being a pure athlete, how her athleticism was able to transfer to the football field, and how out of nowhere this girl becomes this like national sensation and the first woman to ever score points without even, again, you don't set out to like do that.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of like Monet Davis. Remember Monet Davis from the Taney Dragons?
Yes.
She was the first female pitcher ever to play in the Little League World Series, and literally was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. I mean, she was 13 years old at the time, from Philly. She now plays softball at Hampton University, which is a HBC, a historical Black college in Georgia. But she blew up, and it was like she became this sensation. And it was kind of the same thing where she was an athlete, went to Vanderbilt to play soccer, and because of circumstances, and I think it's amazing because when you watched the players, like the men that she was playing with were so excited for her.
Yeah.
And the fact that we've gotten to that place in society, in sports, where they know it's better to be encouraging, and it's not about, and obviously on social media, people were roasting her, but like when you see how her teammates were treating her and how excited they were, her parents were in the stands.
Oh yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah. It's really just, again, a testament to the progression that women are making in sports, which has been so fun to see. And then another woman sports moment was, where's her name? I'm blanking on her name right now.
Tara VanDerveer. Am I saying that right?
Hold on. Let me see.
Tara VanDerveer. Yeah, Tara VanDerveer from Stanford.
Oh, for the most victories. I thought we were moving to the broadcast.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Did I miss that?
No, we'll get to it.
Okay. So Tara VanDerveer, and I feel so ashamed that like I didn't know her. Like I know Pat Summitt. Pat Summitt was the iconic coach for Tennessee who very tragically died from early onset Alzheimer's.
Right.
When you think about how much of a trailblazer Pat Summitt was and what she did for her program, and then she passed away the way that she did, but she held the NCAA women's most coach wins forever. I mean, anybody who knew basketball knew Pat Summitt.
Right.
It's kind of like how it was her, and then after Pat Summitt, it was UConn, right? Like that was the girls' basketball program. It's when you hear about Gianna Bryant, right, Kobe's daughter, all she wanted to do was play for UConn because that was the school. Pat Summitt was the coach, and I feel really ignorant that I didn't know Tara VanDerveer, but she has now beat Pat Summitt, and she is now the winningest female coach for NCAA basketball from Stanford, which is incredible. And she's 67, which I think is so awesome that she's still doing it. And such a badass.
So again, like circle back to the theme of not only why we have this podcast, but the fact that you're saying, I wish I knew who this woman was. I wish I knew who she was too.
Yeah.
But it's what we've been conditioned to see and what we've been conditioned to pay attention to. So that's why we are shedding light on these incredible women who within their close-knit circles, I think probably like get their respect and recognition. But if that were a male coach who surpassed this incredible record,
yeah,
it would have been probably top story on ESPN, right? Or top story on anywhere.
Yeah.
It would have just been this super huge story, and we're just kind of hearing about this kind of like right now.
But it's interesting because I'm like, why do I know so much about Pat Summitt, but I didn't know about Tara? Like, I can't figure that out. And I don't know if it was because maybe Pat was a trailblazer in her time, so she was spoken about more, or maybe because she brought women's college basketball to the forefront at that time, and then I don't know. I can't figure that out.
I mean, it could be time and place. I could have just been. I think a lot of times it's when women finally get the spotlight, and especially in sports, it's when they're really playing up to a level that's comparative to a man's. And I hate to even say that, but you know, that's when, like you were saying, like with somebody like Monet Davis, that's when you're seeing the talent showcased. It's when it's up to the bar of a man, which again is probably problematic.
Yes.
Why does it have to take playing at the level of a man to get this recognition on any sort of stage?
Yeah.
But I mean, it probably has something to do with that. It's probably because she was one of the first women to ever do so.
Right.
Until that bar set, there's no one to surpass that bar.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you have this woman.
So like So like she set the bar, and now it got to the point where it's like, okay, people are going to surpass her. But it's interesting to me. And I always try to like be that deep thinker and be like, why did I know this, but I didn't know that? And like, you know what I mean? Just try to find an answer for it.
Yeah.
But I do think that that's what it is. Sometimes it's like, I'm on social media and I watch the news and I read, but I read stuff that's presented to me, right? I don't necessarily do like a super deep dive into women's college basketball.
No.
But I know way more about men's college basketball. You know what I mean? So like,
and because when has it been showcased to you where you felt that you should pay attention to it?
Right. Exactly.
I mean, that's basically what it comes down to. And then we had Jeannie Morris.
Yes.
Who, 85 years old, passed away, was a trailblazer for women in sports and broadcasting in particular. I just want to read about Jeannie because I find her so fascinating.
She was the first woman to ever report live from a Super Bowl.
So Jeannie Mars, starting in 1967, at a time when women were virtually non-existent in sportscasting, Mars spent 24 years as a sports reporter, producer, and host, first at NBC-owned WMAQ Channel 5. And then it says, her pioneering TV work followed stints as a sports columnist for Chicago's American and sports reporter for the Chicago Daily News. So she was in Chi-Town.
That's awesome.
Which
is a big sports town, you know, yeah.
She had the Cubs.
Yeah.
Cubs. She began writing under the byline of Mrs. Jeannie Mars, reflecting the status of women in journalism at the time. So she couldn't even write under her own name.
Which is so crazy.
I mean, yes and no. And like, that's, again, I feel like another testament. So this woman had the chops back then.
Yeah.
Now we're still in this space where it's like, well, I don't know. Do you really know?
Right. Well, and you and I talked about a little bit about it, so I have done radio in the music side of radio. So top 40, hot AC, country, and you've always been in sports radio. And in your world, you are not supposed to really have any interaction with the athletes. That you have been told since early on that you must maintain a level of autonomy. They're not supposed to know you. You're not supposed to be friendly with them because that's just how it is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, so it is definitely an interesting dynamic. it's different for me than I think it is for some other women in sports media, because I've always operated from a place as like a radio personality in sports talk.
Right.
Kind of like wanted to veer into the sports broadcasting world, which I've gotten my opportunity to when I had Birds Outsiders last year, the football-based show. But that was based on, on me as a personality. You know what I mean? So, but for women, for a lot of female journalists in sports media, there's this level of, I guess, distinction that you have to have for how you present yourself at any given moment, at any given time, in any given sports situation. So women are so much more scrutinized when it comes to their behavior in the sports world, because there's, when there's only one or two or three of you in a room, everybody's kind of looking at you anyway, just because you're standing out as is. So if you were to like look at a player the wrong way, or like smile at a player the wrong way, even if it's innocent, even if you don't mean anything by it, there's the perception of everybody else in the room who thinks that you mean more, when actually you could just be being friendly. Right. So it's interesting. And I know that there have been situations in sports media where, natural relationships have happened between, a woman who's working in baseball and a baseball player. They end up getting married, or they end up dating, she loses her job, and I can see the side to it, because there is this level of integrity, that you want to have when you're reporting. However, it's the dynamic, it has been fascinating for me to witness over the years, where, it's kind of like that double standard. So you think about somebody like Jeannie, who was doing this 40, 50 years ago. I can't even imagine. Like, I've been doing social media for the station at different like sporting events, and the security guards have like said inappropriate stuff to me. They've, what do you think you're doing here? You think they're going to be looking at you? And I was like, hi, I'm here doing my job. Right. Like there's that ingrained perception that just because I have this job in this sports environment, that I'm there for a husband, when like I was like, I just need to get a good picture for Instagram. So like, I'm going to need you to slow your roll.
And I'm here because I love the game, and I like what it is. It has nothing to do with who is playing. Yeah. And for the music side, it's complete opposite. So we're not allowed to speak poorly of the celebrities. We're not allowed to write poor things about them. Like if there's an award show and we're live tweeting, like we can't say anything about their makeup or their hair. Like it has to be coming from a very positive space. And like we're encouraged to like be as friendly as possible. And so it's just interesting. I know. And like it is interesting too, because the non-Fanatic sports station in Philadelphia, we could just say it, WIP. So when I drive home at night, now WIP hosts the Eagles, just like the Fanatic hosts the Flyers and the Sixers. WIP hosts the Eagles and the Phillies. Yep. And so when I drive home, the guy that's on at night is such a Carson Wentz hater. All he does, I only turn him on when I'm flipping through the channels, whether I'm Devon's usually on the Fanatic, or I'm listening to music and they're in commercials. So I listen to him, and like, he's such a Carson hater, and it's every single night. It gets to the point where I want to call in and be like, I work in the industry, dude, find a new topic. You can't talk about the same topic every single night. How much Carson Wentz sucks. Like, come on. But it's fascinating to me that he's on the station that plays the Eagles, but he can still get away with that. We're like, that would never fly on a music station. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't play Luke Bryan and talk shit about him. Like, that just wouldn't fly.
Well, so you know what's fascinating to me is our old promotions director at the Fanatic, Mike McMonigal. Yeah. He said to me, because we're from two different animals radio background wise. Like sports radio is its own animal, and then music radio is.
Yeah.
And Mike said to me, he said, sports is so much criticism. He's like, so it kind of like, it just like encases all this essentially like negative energy, right?
Yeah.
So, like, sometimes that comes out in the post because like you have to be super critical in order to be competitive, especially when it comes to games.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, games are X's and O's. So you have to really, you can't have feelings. I guess the perception is you can't have feelings in sports in general. You can't have feelings when it comes to like observing sports. That's how it was. Where I have feelings about everything. But anyway,
and that's how it was, and I think that's how people think it is,
or how it should be. But whereas music radio, Mike said, he's like, think about like our sister station, like WMGK. They're still playing like Journey's like "Don't Stop Believin'," and their host, like Maddie Cord, has to be like, and here we are with Journey's "Don't Stop Believin'." He's like, you have to sell it like it's the first time you ever heard that song, and that you love it just as much as you did, because the listener on the other end of that
is excited to hear the song.
They're excited because it makes them happy. Whereas radio, we're like venting. It's like just 5 hours of like male therapy about their sports teams. Like that's all it is. It's just men venting their emotions about their sports teams while trying not to be emotional about it.
Right. But that's the irony, is that there is emotion to it. And that's why we wanted to do this. That's why we want to do this podcast, because it isn't just X's and O's. Sometimes, like, why won't Ben Simmons shoot? Like, that's not X's and O's. Like, there's something going on up here. Like, why did Carson Wentz regress so drastically? It's something in here. And so it is emotion. It's so much more than just the ability to physically do it. There's so many more layers to it. And I think that now people are starting to talk about it a little bit more. But which is one of the main reasons why we want to do this podcast, because it was like, there is so much more than just the X's and O's part of it. Like, and no one's talking about it enough,
Well, because no one has been comfortable to actually bring it into the conversation, and without like fear of being judged for it. If that makes sense. Just because the rules have been set for sports talk for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And only over the last, I'd say even like 5 years was when we really started to see the conversation change, because it could be a bit monotonous when, you're hashing out the same subject over and over and over again. And like, sometimes if that's what you do, it's probably because like you really can't think outside the box to try and like extrapolate any other sort of content from the team that you're talking about. So like, I don't know about people who kind of harp on the same player hate all the time, because maybe they should like expand their.
That's what I think. I'm like, you should come up with a new topic. Come up with
that. I mean, like, that's why the Mike Missinelli show, I find, and I'm clearly unbiased, but like, we have a lot of the same conversations, but like, we touch on so much stuff.
Yeah, like, you talk about pop culture stuff and news and politics, and
not only that, but like, I think that our analysis of the teams is based on like a little bit more of like a thoughtful place.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's why I was obsessed with listening to Mike even before you and Ty were on the show, because it was such a cerebral way of approaching things that I connected with.
Well, and because Mike is one of the most intelligent human beings I've ever met in my entire life. And the way that he can just formulate his thoughts and get them out there to the audience is why he's the best at he's the best. He is hands down the best at what he does. Like, and I've worked with everyone. Yeah. I've worked with all the heavy hitters in this city at one point, in the city of Philadelphia at one point. Anybody who's on sports talk radio, 99% chance that I've worked with them or interacted with them in some capacity, and there's nobody who compares to Mike Missinelli.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a radio geek and I listen all the time, and I listened to him before you were on the show because I loved his approach.
Yeah.
I always would say, like, he would put the Schmitties in their place.
Well,
I remember a topic years ago about when Carson first got here and he was really, really posting a lot of Jesus stuff. And like these people were calling in and this guy was like freaking out about it. Mike's like, but why does that bother you? And the guy's like, well, I just don't think you should be posting stuff about the Bible. And Mike's like, but why? And he's like, let's just think for a second. Like, I need you to go deeper. Like, why is that bothering you? And like, normally men don't do that. They don't press it. And I remember there was even a conversation about Ben Simmons. It was either last year or the year before about him shooting, and a guy called in who is a psychiatrist, and he had 2 teenage sons. And he was like, no one talks about the frontal lobe development and how most of the time with men, it's not fully developed until they're 25. And depending on how fast and, you know, sometimes like the decision making and the confidence isn't there until they're a little bit like, that is fascinating to me.
I mean, that it's fascinating to a lot of people. It's just a part of the conversation that's been left out. And I'm glad that that's why we're doing it here.
So before we get into how Taylor Swift is a Eagles fan, we've got to obviously address Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz. And I texted you a little bit about it, and I held back a little bit because I wanted to talk about it on the podcast, but I really did struggle on Sunday, and I can't figure out why. And like talking about like trying to go deep and like get into the thoughts and try to figure out, but like I really had a hard time being excited on Sunday. Like there was something about like I felt so bad for Carson. I wanted to be excited for Jalen, but like I just couldn't fully get there. Like there was parts of me that like, and I'm gonna admit it, that like I didn't want the Eagles to win, and I couldn't figure out why. And I'm like, and I kind of joked around about it a little bit, and I was like, I don't even know why. There's nothing about Carson I have in common with. Like I don't like hunting. I don't like guns. I don't like living in the middle of nowhere. Like the only thing is like I also like look good in camo. Like I can't figure it out, but like it was such a weird feeling on Sunday watching this game, and like I obviously have read and listened to people be so excited and it was a great game to watch, but like I felt very torn and I hated it.
So here's what this is my assessment, because that's kind of how I felt myself. I mean, seeing Jalen play, I have to say, was an absolute delight. I tried to watch the game.
Yeah.
And again, try and like detach any sort of emotion.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty good at that at this point, you know, in my career. Like I can watch the game and just see it for what it is and not really have any sort of like emotional attachment. So if Carson Wentz wasn't a part of the equation, Jalen, just his mobility and how quick he was, and it seemed like his ability, you know, to kind of like execute the plays, get outside the pocket, run the ball,
right,
and then have those incredible passes. Just on the surface level, I was like, wow, this guy looks good.
Right.
The problem is that we know that Carson, I think it was, you know, his potential, right? So we've kind of lost sight of what he's supposed to be and the role that he's going to play on the Eagles.
Right.
So my whole thought process is it's like really, it's hard to be excited because A, we're stuck with him. They're going to have to eat $34 million next year, no matter what happens. So like, A, we're stuck with Carson. B, you know that there's something that nobody has been able to figure out. And we've talked about this in other episodes as to why he's as bad as he is. And it's like, you know, like it is his fault, but it's not his fault.
Right. Right.
And it's because there's no logical explanation. Nobody can point to an injury. It's not like he's coming out and saying, yeah, I'm feeling the heat, so I keep making bad decisions. Like, we're not getting any sort of transparency when it comes to what went wrong with him, which is why it's like we're stuck in this situation and none of it makes sense. So of course it makes sense that you're going to feel bad, because it's like, we don't even know what happened to this guy. We were all sold the bag of goods that he was going to be the franchise quarterback. We were sold the bag of goods. Like, you traded the farm, you know, you got rid of the farm to get him.
Right. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's me mourning the loss of what could have been, or the
So
loss what we thought could have been, is that, and I think you and I talked about this last week, where like the loss of like, we don't have a Tom Brady, we don't have a Russell Wilson, we don't have an Aaron Rodgers. Like, here we are again, and we're gonna do a breakout episode, because I said to you, like, I want to talk about the fact of like, why can't Philly have a superstar? We haven't had a superstar since Allen Iverson.
Mm-hmm.
And I have some theories why, and I want to talk about it. And I want to talk about, do other cities feel that way? And we're going to have, and you made a genius assumption and said, Boston's probably the close second. And so we have a friend who currently works in Boston who used to work in Philly. So we're going to have her on to talk about it. But I guess I think you hit the nail on the head, is that like, it's mourning that like what we thought we had doesn't exist anymore, and accepting it. And it's kind of a joke, but like, I went through that. It's like people go through it in a breakup, right? Is that like, you mourn that this relationship is over. And I used to go to this amazing gym called Fusion, and it was the best gym on the planet. And I loved it so much. And they changed it. They changed the name. They changed everything about it. And I went through this like grief where like, I got so angry, and people are like, you got to get over it. I'm like, but I loved it, and they changed, and like, it's never going to be the same. And like, I'll never forgive them for that. And I think that that's kind of how I feel. Like, I will never forgive whoever is responsible for this. Like, whether it's part Howie, part Doug, part Cart, like, the fact that like, this is what it is so fucking awful.
Yeah. And I haven't thought of it as mourning. Like, you just took like my thoughts and then like were able to apply some like therapy, like some actual like diagnosis. But
yeah,
I think that is totally what I'm having the tough time with. And I think it's just because, again, saw him in 2017, saw the instinctual ability.
Yeah.
Saw what I thought was our forever, right? So
Yeah.
I hope Carson was our forever. I was like, this is the guy. We're going to get like 5 Super Bowls out of him. You know, we're going to become the next dynasty. And like even though we had Nick Foles, like Carson's going to be our person. So yeah, it's probably just like the grieving period. And
I think it's like, I thought that he was going to be Patrick Mahomes, you know, that like we were going to be on the national stage, because like, I remember 2017, like being giddy after those games, and I would go on Twitter and I would read all the stuff about Carson and how great he was, and Philly and the Eagles, and it was such a high. And I was like, the way that people talk about Patrick Mahomes, I think that like, we had that hope that like, that was going to be us, and like, in fact, it's the complete opposite.
Yeah,
and
it's like the opposite.
Yeah.
And then again, it's not like something that has come up a lot on the airwaves on the Mike Missinelli show this week is people aren't understanding that you can be upset about Carson and not be a Jalen Hurts hater, because I'm not a Jalen hater. That's the team that I love. Like, I want him to be successful.
When it's not his fault at all.
No, and I
his whatever this is, this weird like a backwards mustache, or like,
what are you talking about?
He has that like weird hair on his chin.
See, I'm not even paying attention to that. And now I have to go look him up.
Oh my God, it's awful.
Wait, what is it?
It looks like he took a Sharpie and just like colored in his chin.
Stop it.
Yes, it's terrible.
Oh no, it's just like that beard.
Ew. It's terrible.
You don't like that like just the chin beard?
No. I also hate a goatee. Like, why does any man think a goatee is attractive? Like, a goatee is not attractive.
I can't explain the goatee. I can't.
Like,
no, I think his hair's fine.
Ew, no, I don't like it.
But that's what's funny. Like, you're like, what's with his chin hair? And I'm like, what chin hair?
Yin and yang.
Yes.
Yin and yang.
Yeah, so I'm intrigued to see how this situation plays out. You know, the Eagles play the Cardinals on Sunday, and that's a horse of a different color. So I can't make any assessments like as to what's going to happen, but the Eagles should just be shitting themselves from all the shitty decisions that they've made.
Yeah.
And then they need to just like lie in the shit that they in the shit bed that they shit out because
1,000%.
that,
We
like,
had some really good. We had some really good messages. We're gonna read some really fun tweets that you had.
Yeah, let me pull them up.
But I'm gonna read these 3 quick messages from different people about Carson. This one is from Rita, Rita's in her 80s. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
She says, it is in Carson's best interest that they win. He knows he hasn't been getting it done, though possibly not all his fault. I'm sure he would be the first one to congratulate Hurts. Wentz needs this timeout. This is the break Hurts has been waiting for. I felt great for him and then. So she's basically saying that, like, she feels that, like, Carson needed a break to just, like, sit and chill.
Well, wait. Did we talk about my dream?
No.
So I didn't know if we said it on last week's podcast. I had a dream and I was like, is this just like work stress or whatever? But I had a dream that I went to the Link, the NovaCare Center.
Okay.
To pick up Carson's dog to take him to the groomer. And it was a German Shepherd.
Weird.
Yeah. And like in my dream, I like went through the gates and I talked to the security guard and I was like, oh, I'm here to pick up Carson Wentz's dog. I forget the dog's name. And then I like went into this room and actually it was weird. It was like Carson and Zach Ertz there, which I also feel like is kind of telling or
That's
like
very
symbolic, right?
Yeah.
No, and then Carson was like, oh, hey, Nat, like, thanks for taking my dog. And then I, like, took the dog to the groomers, but then I was like, and then, like, they benched Carson. And I was like, is the dog at the groomers Carson being fluffed and primped, and then he's going to come back, like, more fabulous than ever?
I love that. With a little neck bow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But right, that's what you're saying. Like,
wait, how weird is this? Talking about a dog. So then the next message I get says, my cousin named his dog Carson because he loves Wentz so much. I told him yesterday I will now refer to his dog as Jalen.
I know, all the Carson Wentz stuff is 50% off.
I know. And then
it hurts my soul.
I know. And then this one was really funny. Girl, he fine. That cushy contract he isn't earning is keeping him real warm on the bench. And like, that's another thing I need to remember, that like, I feel bad for him, but I'm like, wait, why do I feel bad for him? I'm the one driving the 2009 Ford Focus. He's going to be making $130 million. Like, you know, I guess at the end of the day, so I don't know, but I guess I'm just a bleeding heart, so I can't help it.
No, I'm the same way.
All right. So read your tweets.
Okay, so I put this fun question out on Twitter. It was a big, people were doing it a lot last week. Where the heck is it? I'm trying to find them. God. Do I really tweet that much? Oh, here it is. So
because I try to find some of your tweets. I'm like, oh my God, this is so, my hand's getting tired.
Yeah, the answer, Natalie, is yes. So I put out this tweet, and they were doing a lot of them last week. It was, tell me you're a blank without telling me you're a blank. So I said, tell me why you're a Philadelphia sports fan without telling me you're a Philadelphia sports fan. The answers I got were so incredible. Somebody said, when I was young, nobody wanted to play in my city. That was one of my favorite ones.
That's good.
And then the guy running in so at Veer Bomb, who tweets me a lot, says the guy running is me thinking we have a winning team. That poll is franchise management. So remember,
oh my God, when the guy hit, yeah,
I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm always angry. For who? For what? I mean, we got like so many funny responses. And then it says, somebody said my favorite player is the backup quarterback and the next head coach. And I was like, that might actually be the winner.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
What it always is.
My favorite place to go as a child had a jail inside of it, because remember when the vet had the jail inside of it? Yeah. So I got like really great responses.
People are really clever.
Yeah.
Speaking of Twitter, we're on the socials. Follow us. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok.
Oh,
Lipstick.
that's right. TikTok is
Some
new.
are the Lipstick League, some are Lipstick League. Just search Lipstick League and it'll pop up.
Yeah, you'll know where to find us.
So before we get to Taylor Swift, I got to do my Nicole snack break.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Travis Kelce, man, he's been looking real good lately.
He's adorbs.
I mean,
Does he still have that girlfriend? Didn't he meet her on the Bachelor?
Was it The Bachelor? It was some show, right? But they broke up. It was a very dramatic breakup. But then,
right?
It was like
Kelsey for Love, or
it was like his show. And they were together a really long time. She lived in Kansas City. Kate Nicole, I follow her. And then they had like a really dramatic breakup where they unfollowed each other. But then she flew back to Kansas City because she's really good friends with Patrick Mahomes' fiance. And they had the baby shower and she was there. And she's been liking Travis Kelce's pics.
Oh.
Yeah.
Scandalous.
But he is a snack.
Yeah, he is so gorgeous.
Yeah, and like, and it's just funny because like, obviously Jason Kelce is amazing, but like he doesn't have the same. He has a swag, but it's like a different swag.
Jason Kelce's like, he's like what do they say? Like every man's man, or like he's
like he's just like, but like Travis Kelce, you're just like, oh.
He's got Travis has that Hollywood top swagger where like Jason Kelce, I think he's just like an East Coaster.
Jason Kelce is he's from there. He's from Ohio, so he's just like Ohio, PA, like simple life. Like his wife Kylie is hilarious. She's so funny to follow on the socials. Like,
oh really? Oh
my God, she's really funny. They're having another baby and all she does is post herself getting takeout, and then she'll be like, didn't make it home in time, and like post she eats it in the car. Like she's really funny. And they just seem like they have a really fun relationship. Like they'll play Scrabble and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Travis is my sports snack this week. All right. So now like the big, I just think that this is massive. I mean, even more massive than Carson Wentz being benched is Taylor Swift is an Eagles fan, and she literally wrote a song about it. But I know you're not ready to fully commit because, all right, just explain.
Okay, so Taylor Swift released a surprise album
called Evermore.
Evermore.
And Nat and I are both Swifties. Well, you like took a Swiftie break though, didn't you?
I took a Swiftie break. Actually I'm back now.
Okay. Welcome back.
Yeah, all great relationships like go through trial and tribulation. So like I had some beef with Taylor for a while, but now she's back and I loved Folklore. So then when I saw that she was putting out Evermore, I was like, oh my God, all here for it. And so she is doing work with The National.
And you like them?
Yeah, so I like them. Actually, Mike Missinelli loves them.
Really?
She sought out the producer and the lead singer for The National to produce Evermore and these two albums because like she felt like she needed to just be like a little bit more exploratory.
Yeah.
I think that's where I kind of like lost it with her is because like she just went this like super pop route. And I think
it's funny. I didn't listen to her when she was country. I listened a little bit to Red, and then I was obsessed with 1989.
Oh, I loved 89 too.
I was obsessed with Reputation. Reputation's like my favorite Taylor album. That was like her dark, leathery, like pissed off phase. Right. Then I like kind of liked Lover, but then I thought, would she? So here's the thing, like I don't even really love Folklore and Evermore that much, but I love how much of a musical genius she is, and I'm obsessed with the fact that she writes her own stuff and that she continues to push the envelope. It's like the theme, like we've talked about this in one of the earlier episodes where like Tom Brady keeps wanting to win and LeBron keeps wanting to win. Like she has that thing.
Well, she continues to like evolve as an artist, and probably why these are the albums that got me back is because this is her like expanding. Yeah. And kind of it's just like super raw. It's like a lot of like her on the piano.
Did you watch the Disney Plus special? Did you watch the
No.
I'll give you do you have it? I'll give you my login.
I do. I think I have Disney Plus.
Okay. I watched it the weekend it came out. It's so because she literally goes, Aaron is with the is it Dessner? the guy from the National.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and Jack Antonoff, and the three of them are there, and they literally go song by song, and she talks about what the song's about, how she wrote it. Like it's.
Oh, I'm gonna have to watch that before I go to bed tonight.
Oh my God, it is.
I don't know
like,
how I
think the song. Like there's one song, I won't give too much away, but there's one song that you think is about a relationship, but here it's about an addict. She wrote it about an addict. It's really.
That's what I love so much about her is like all of her lyrics. Like they kind of like they're so like up to interpretation.
Yeah, and I've been very fortunate to interview a lot of people, and Christina Perry, who's from Philly, and then Ed Sheeran, both of them told me at separate times that a lot of times songwriters will literally have stuff written for years, and it just didn't fit an album, or the production value didn't fit. So like they'll save it, and they'll maybe wait, and they'll release it 3 years later. And like the thing about Taylor is that like she literally writes her own stuff. Like she actually writes her own songs. I mean, it's so rare. People don't, most of the time there's like 10 people on a song.
Yeah, that's what's so rare about her. And whether you like her or you hate her, like you have to just, I've always respected her for that. It just took me, like I needed to hear it, and I'm finally like hearing it again. So I'm like, oh my God. So the whole Eagles fan thing came up because she has this lyric in the song Gold Rush, which is off of the new album, and she alludes to an Eagles t-shirt. So there was some debate whether or not she was an Eagles fan or if it was about the Eagles, the band. And I was like, I don't know.
We'll play the clip. Could you insert the clip, the line of the song?
I'll insert the clip. Let me read.
So right now, this is what it sounds like. Okay. So basically it says with my Eagles t-shirt hanging on the door. And so some people are saying it's about Harry Styles because there's been pictures of Harry Styles in an Eagles Philadelphia jersey.
They think that song is about Harry Styles.
Right.
Because they're like combing, again, this is what's so fun about Taylor Swift and about her songs is they're combing through the lyrics of her song, trying to extract meaning and place them to situations that they know that
she likes to call them Easter eggs.
Right. And that's why she's such a genius, is because she's able to like conceptualize and bring her relationship and just put it into some like metaphor, and then that metaphor goes into a song. Like that's so crazy.
Right.
And so yeah, this Eagles t-shirt one, but they think it's about Harry Styles just in general. And then the Eagles t-shirt thing, there's a picture of Harry Styles holding an Eagles jersey from when he was here on tour and he played at the Link.
Yeah. But I was at that show. So like fun fact, I was working at Q102 at the time when One Direction was like at its peak. In fact, their very first American interview was at Q102, and I missed it because I was on vacation. And I'm so pissed about that. But I never, I liked their songs that would make you know what I mean? They were fun, but I never got it until I went to see them at the Link, and I saw Harry, and I'm like, oh, he's a superstar. Like, he just has that it factor, and I talk about the it factor a lot. Like, there's just that thing that it's just like The Voice. The Voice has been on for 72 seasons and never produced a superstar because none of those singers have the it factor. They're incredible singers, but it's the it factor that makes somebody a superstar.
Yeah.
And when I saw Harry, I'm like, oh, he has it exudes that. And so I was at that. They wore the jerseys on stage, I think, too, that show. And I just remember being like, oh my God, I love you, I'm a Directioner.
Right. I remember my little sister really loved them. And again, I feel like I was just a little bit out of that age bracket. So I was like, oh, they're cute.
Yeah, me too. I'm older than you, but I'm just such a fangirl.
But now that they've broken up and they're getting older and I'm getting to hear their individual music talents, I've become a very big Harry Styles fan. I think he's adorable.
He is the definition of the it factor. It's everybody loves him. He just has that charisma that you can't take your eyes off of him. He's attractive, but he's not really that. It's like the David Bowie. It's like Prince. It's like Freddie Mercury. It's they just have that think.
Why did you just name my 3 favorite people and all like that?
Really?
Wait, did you know that those are my 3 people?
No.
Wait, yeah, that's it. If you were like, Natalie, name me your 3 stars, it would be David Bowie, Prince, and Freddie Mercury.
Weird.
For real, because like I'm not even kidding.
That's weird.
Yeah.
But it's true. Like that's Harry. Do you know what I mean? Like he's that.
Yeah. So
did you ever see Queen with Adam Lambert?
No.
He's really good. I was a front row and I was like loving it.
I know, I've heard great things, and I really, really like that he's the person in that role.
Yeah, because he like gets it.
Yeah, well, he gets it and he can execute it, and he has like the vocal range for it. But I'm such like a Freddie Mercury. He's like my person. He's actually like my person.
You saw the movie, obviously, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah.
But like back to the Taylor thing. So it could be the band, the Eagles. But I will say, so I've seen.
And they say that she's an Eagles fan.
Well, okay. So when she was here, 1989 tour, right? No, I saw 1989 and I saw Reputation, and I got to meet her during the 1989 tour. And it was incredible because she has like a separate room where you meet her, and she comes and she like knows your name because like her assistant studies it. So like she knows about you. You meet her, you get a photo, and then she has like food set up and like a photo booth and like all her costumes. But like, did you ever see my photo with Taylor? How my best friend Joe's in the background eating a slider?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I'll have to post it on Lipstick League. But like, it's so, of course, like luckily I had to get my friend Photoshop Joe out of it because it's literally Joe reaching for a slider, and it's me and Taylor Swift. I'm like, how does that happen?
That is amazing.
What?
That's amazing.
Yeah, and then Katy Perry, really quick. She was here for that's a whole other episode. What happened to Katy Perry? But Katy Perry was here when
Katy Perry's kind of why I started to dislike Taylor
because of the rift.
Because of the rift, and like I have issues with Taylor's representation of other women while claiming to be about women.
Right. And I think I think she addressed some of that.
She did,
but it was weird that all her friends looked like her, and yeah.
Right.
Anyway. But anyway.
Episode.
Yeah. Anyway, Katy Perry, she after her Prismatic World Tour when she was in Philly, it was one of the best shows I've ever seen. And she was like, I'm going to meet you at the Art Museum steps. And like, we went to Art Museum steps and she showed up, and it's me and my best friend Joe. And like, she grabs my phone, or I hold my phone out to take a selfie, and I cut myself off of the selfie. So it's just Joe and Katy Perry, but I'm taking the photo. And
no!
So like, he ruined, I luckily met Katy after that, but like, he basically ruined 2 pictures with like the biggest pop stars.
Oh my God. What the heck, Joe? I know Joe.
I know. But so the thing that, okay, so it's 1989 tour. We meet her. Then her mom takes us on this backstage tour on golf carts and tells us all about, introduces us to the dancers, talks about the costumes, the staging. Like, her mom knows all the shit. It's incredible. Then she takes us to another suite where we can watch the opening act. And then when it's time for her to come on, we get to go to the floor.
You have a Taylor Swift VIP experience.
Yes.
Swift
it was
is
amazing
right now.
So that was 1999. When I saw her Red tour, Ed Sheeran opened for her, and I'm really good friends with my friend Julie used to be Ed Sheeran's record rep, and her Red tour, it rained, and we had to go in the dressing room. Everybody had to leave the link, and me and Maxwell, who used to do nights on Q102, and Ed Sheeran were in Ed Sheeran's dressing room, just the 3 of us.
Wasn't he Maxwell? Wasn't he British?
No, he's black.
Wasn't there a British guy?
Yes, he was on 96. He was on Wired. And his name was, what the hell was his name?
I can't remember. He was on Nights too, though, right?
Was it London? No, it was like something like that. He did Nights though. Yes, you were right.
He was against Maxwell, right?
Yes. What the hell was his name? That's going to bother me. I'll think about it. But anyway, that's a whole story in of itself where me, Maxwell, and Ed Sheeran, just the three of us, were sitting in Ed Sheeran's dressing room. Wild. But anyway, back to Taylor. 1989, she's on stage and she's talking about like connecting with people. She's like, Philly, what's going on? You know, this is technically my hometown show because, you know, I grew up not right outside of Reading. And do you know how many memories I had where my dad and his friends would go to Eagles games at Vet Stadium? And I know that the Vet Stadium isn't here anymore. We're at the Link, but like, I know how much the Eagles mean to my dad. Like, she did a whole bit about it. And I remember being like,
I'll buy that.
And I remember being like, this is why she's who she is. But you know the story with what Mick Jagger did 2 summers ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of my biggest pet peeves are when artists don't know where they are. Like when there's a show at the BB&T Pavilion and they go, "What's up, Camden?" It's not a Camden show. It's a Philly show.
Right,
you know
right.
I mean? Like I need the artist to connect with where they are.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's so many artists that do not do that.
Like when Conan O'Brien wore a Flyers jersey when he came here in 2009.
Right. Exactly. Like, I love the fact that you love Conan so much. It's just like the best. But so what gets me so riled up is that some artists just don't do that, right? Taylor, even if she was full of shit, she still knew the bit. That
she plays the role so well.
She could do it. So Mick Jagger, it wasn't last summer. It was, so I guess it would have been the summer of 2018 because it was right after the Eagles won the Super Bowl. And he goes on stage and he was like, "Hey, Philly, I'm on the 50-yard line. Is this where the kicker made the field goal?" That's where the kid like knew about the 61-yard field goal, then talked about winning the Super Bowl. And no, it was last year. It was last year because he came from Jacksonville and he said Nick Foles said to say hello.
I remember when that happened.
Yeah. Said Nick Foles said to say hello and then did a whole thing about Wawa and how he got a Wawa hoagie. This is Mick fucking Jagger. He doesn't have to do that shit. But like somebody
But that's why he's Mick Jagger.
That's why he's Mick Jagger.
Like, but that's the extra step that makes somebody a superstar is when you have the ability to connect with your fan base. Like that's what it's all about.
He did, somebody told him before he went on stage, say something about Wawa, say something about Nick Foles, and like he remembered it and like did it, and like he literally had the crowd eating out of the palm of his hands.
Yeah, and then he shook his little hips that still move at 95,000 years old and still
like
babies, and then he like was like, you know,
did it. And so like part of me thinks that maybe it really is about the Eagles.
Oh, I think so. I don't think it's about the Eagles, the band. I mean, I have this like irrational dislike for the Eagles, and it has nothing to do with their music or anything that they've done.
Really, they're my dad's favorite band.
Everybody loves the Eagles. I like the Eagles. I like the Eagles, the band. Like I do. Like I'm upset about Glenn Frey. Like blah 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 blah. However, their album, their greatest hits, knocked Michael Jackson's Thriller off of the #1 album of all time. And I find that it is a bit disrespectful to have a compilation album be an album that knocks off an actual.
That's so true. That is so true, because that's not fair. You can't have the greatest hits album be #1.
Right. Like I get that all like the Eagles fans and you know what's so funny? I still do to this day. If I go on my computer, I'll go to type in like I'll just go eagles.com and then it's the Eagles and not the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
Are PhiladelphiaEagles.com, but like still to this day sometimes I'll be like eagles.com and then it's like Glenn Frey's like memory page. But no, I'm just like, you can't have a compilation album that's a collective, it's a greatest hits
so true
album. And they did that. So now I have this like internalized and like anger.
You should have told me that because now I'm pissed too.
Right?
Yeah, that's not fair. They shouldn't have allowed that.
No, I still don't know why they allowed it.
Right. Who do we call about, or who do we email about that?
I don't know. I think it's like Billboard or somebody.
I'm gonna look into that.
It's like greatest selling album of all time. It was killer, and then like it was 2 years ago or something. It's like, oh, the Eagles top Michael Jackson. And I was like, what? And then they're like with their greatest hits, and I was like, no, that does not count.
That makes sense at all.
That's not even fair. Like I'm glad that everybody loved their greatest hits, but it's a compilation. It's not one album.
Yep. 1,000%. Yes.
Yeah. I need to take this up with the Academy.
We're starting a revolt.
Yeah, the Recording Academy. Right.
All right. So listen to the Taylor song. We played that little clip, but we really do think it's the regular Eagles. And we're gonna come back. We'll have some guests. We're gonna talk about a bunch of other fun stuff that we have planned. We have some good guests on the horizon. And please, please, please subscribe and leave a review if you're being so kind. We have to do something fun for Christmas too.
I know. What should we do?
I don't know. We'll have to figure something out.
Yeah.
And give them the socials.
Yeah, 1 week.
1 week.
That's 1 week to figure it out. All right, yes, that's right. You can follow us at Lipstick League on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And I'm Natalie. I don't know if that's
YouTube. You forgot YouTube and TikTok.
YouTube and TikTok. I'm still getting used to them. Yeah. So Lipstick League.
They're all new. Yeah.
Yeah. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. I cover the 5.
A lot.
5 pillars of social media success. And I'm Natalie Egenoff, EGENOLF.
And Nicole is Nick, NICOLE is NIK. Thank you. Yeah. Hopefully you're enjoying this Zoom. We'll see how it works out.
Yeah, it works out, but it is what it is right now. And mwah!